This is Essie Featured. This is the power of sports.
Different from ground and separate from sky. From all the early morning rinks to the late night skates, it's a place sacred and simple, where a hockey player's will hardens like the ice itself. Before hockey shaped Craig Cunningham's talent, the game forged his toughness. Growing up in the small town of Trail in British Columbia, Canada.
I think there was public skating 3 times a week. We went 3 times a week. He was not your gifted kid. He worked night and day at skating, even on the living room floor.
After rising in Canada's elite junior leagues at 19, Cunningham got the call he dreamed of. Drafted by the Boston Bruins. And in December 2014 against the Ottawa Senators, he took the next step.
Chara's in the right spot and gets it past Turris. Here comes Cunningham with a short-handed bid. His drive scores! Craig Cunningham!
It went in! Oh my gosh, it went in! I remember yelling out, "My son scored! My son scored!"
And Cunningham gets a souvenir for his first in the National Hockey League.
Cunningham would play parts of 2 seasons for the Bruins before joining the Arizona Coyotes in 2015. In the fall of 2016, he was assigned to the team's minor club, the Tucson Roadrunners, and named captain for its inaugural season.
He was a leader. He was the guy who everybody gravitated to from day one.
Selling into the slot, Cunningham backing up, shot, score! Craig Cunningham!
He was in that category as a call-up player, helping us down here. And when the opportunity would come along, that he would get the call-up to play up in Arizona. We all knew of him and knew of his character and his ability.
1 month into the season, November 19th, 2016.
7 o'clock. The whole world changed. To this day, I lay in bed at night or I can't figure it out.
Cunningham was on the ice just before the opening face-off against Manitoba.
I remember being in the press box and turning around and looking down and seeing one of our players laying on his back at the face-off circle. Wondering what the heck is going on here.
And I'm looking and I'm thinking, what happened? And I'm watching and nothing's moving. And I knew something terrible, terrible, terrible is happening.
Cunningham had suffered sudden cardiac arrest. Trainers and medics responded, as did the firefighters just feet away who had been performing in the pre-game ceremonies.
Had he been checked and hit his head, somebody take out his legs, anything was going through my mind except cardiac arrest.
Within moments of falling to the ice, medics started chest compressions and didn't stop.
At this point, we're probably somewhere around the 8-minute mark, 9-minute mark.
When they brought him off the ice, then he wasn't, I don't think he was there. And the thing I remember the most was his arms were dragging way, way behind him.
As we got him off the ice, it's like, this can't be happening. This guy cannot be in cardiac arrest because he's young, he's healthy.
My expectations were not high. I was hopeful that the things we were able to do were able to help him survive.
I was not optimistic.
By the time Cunningham reached St. Mary's Hospital, he'd been receiving CPR for more than half an hour. That's when Dr. Zane Calpe got an emergency call asking him to rush to the ER.
Halfway there, I get another call from them saying, it's about 60 minutes now. We've been doing CPR, and his lungs are filling up with blood, and his other organs are failing, and we're finding it hard to ventilate, and we are thinking about giving up. I said, you're not.
Calpe, one of the top cardiothoracic surgeons in the world, rushed into the hospital, where he saw the entire hockey team and Cunningham's mother waiting for him.
He says to me, "Are you Heather? Are you Craig's mom?" And I said, "I am." He said, "I'm Zane Calpe, and I love my job, and I'm really, really, really good at it, and I'm going to save your son."
We told her that his heart and lungs, kidneys were failing, and we needed to support his circulation by getting him onto an artificial heart and lung device. And I would be the one to do it. And I have no more time to talk about it other than asking her for her blessing and tell her that what could go wrong is that we could lose him.
How long had he received CPR when you arrived?
83 minutes.
How would you characterize that length of time?
I've never known that ever to happen.
Calpe was able to stabilize Cunningham, but his heart was still grossly enlarged and the circulation to his legs greatly diminished. The next day, Calpe proposed a daring operation to decompress the heart, a surgery that had only been done twice before in history, both times by Calpe himself. Where would you place the state of his heart when you saw it?
I'd say one of the worst few that I've seen. A lot of people I work with sometimes don't believe the impossible. And it's for me to put that out of my mind and to try to make sure we do our very best to give it the best.
Cunningham survived the surgery, his heart function strengthening, a heart that had been stopped for 83 minutes. But questions about potential damage to his brain due to lack of oxygen remained. The answers came a few days later when Cunningham regained consciousness.
I remember laying there, in the hospital bed being like, "Oof, this is not good stuff. I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble."
He got off the ventilator, and when you say mental acuity, I'm talking to a hockey player. And no pun intended, but he was about to deck me.
I grabbed him, I don't know, by the scruff of his entire neck, and I said, "Who are you?" So, yeah, I didn't realize at the time that he was saving my life.
I thought he wanted to take a swipe at me, which is fine, because I thought that he's at least moving everything.
I was like, "Oh my gosh, he's alive. He's Craig. He's mad at something." Yeah. Oh, he was mad. Oh, it was terrible, his language.
There was a lot of things that happened that night in Craig's favor. And if you took away any one of those things, he's not here to tell about it today. Miracle.
But the miracle grew complicated. In the weeks after surgery, Cunningham developed a serious infection in his left leg due to lack of circulation. On Christmas Eve 2016, he and the doctors made the decision to amputate his leg.
If I wanted to live the rest of my life, it was life or limb, really. It was kind of the decision that had to be made. And if you want to live your life, hockey isn't everything.
You felt you had lost. Well, I did, because he's a hockey player. And I felt that I just ruined his career.
It's heartbreaking. This was his whole life. his whole life was hockey. I mean, when he was 2 years old, he'd tell you, I'm going to play in the NHL. I'm going to be a hockey player. And it ended just like that.
A career ended, but a life's passion doesn't melt. The ice remains, and for Cunningham, it called.
I know that I'll never play again at the level that I played at, but just to get out there on the ice, and I'm excited to try it out, obviously.
4 months after the surgery, weeks after being fitted for a prosthetic leg, Cunningham got back on the ice. It wasn't miraculous. Even with teammates by his side, it was hard.
You can't stay bitter at life because life is short, man. You just kind of got to step up to the plate and move on.
I'm so proud of his determination. A 26-year-old kid who could have very easily given up and been angry. He doesn't have an angry bone in his body. He is not mad at a darn thing.
His heart can do anything now. He can push himself. He's put on weight. He looks pretty chiseled, but don't tell him I said that.
Since his collapse, Cunningham has relied most on what carried him to the NHL. Work, will, and grit. And now, more than 6 months after most thought he had died on the ice, he's back on the rink, in a sacred place, where Craig Cunningham is doing something better than skating. He's living.
I don't know what the future holds for me, but I think I kind of got a new lease on life. Second chance. I think sometimes you're just born with that extra little fight in you, and got lucky that I was born with it.